Hey, everybody. It's your boy Tyler, and this is the Comic Corner at Geek Radar. So tonight I wanted to get into a comic discussion on the first episode of our comic show. So I wanted to get into The Walking Dead, which I'm sure a lot of you fans absolutely love. And I was going to get into the backstory of Negan with the comic Here's Negan, which came out in October 4th of 2017. And we'll get into The Walking Dead, the actual comic series before this. I mean, this is, you know what I mean. But, dropping shit already. But yeah, with Here's Negan, this is a great comic I think that should be reviewed first. Because it's 72 pages, it's not too long, and it's not too short. And if you don't know who Negan is by now in The Walking Dead, you really should catch up on either the TV show or the comics, because Negan is one of the not most hated villains in The Walking Dead, but also one of the most loved, especially now. And especially since his debut issue and issue 100 of The Walking Dead, where he literally beats Glenn's brains in. In a TV show, it happens to Abraham and Glenn, which with Abraham, he was already on borrowed time, but it was sad, but I was waiting to see this scene right here. So when Glenn got it, of course, I was heartbroken, but we finally got to see it as comic fans, and it was brutal as fuck. But with this, I also wanted to mention that these two figures from the Skybound exclusive store online, and I got the black and white edition of Glenn and Negan, and it comes with, the bashed face, because a lot of people know that The Walking Dead is black and white. They see the cover and they're like, oh, this is going to be colorful, and they open it up and they're like, oh, I wish it was color, and it's like, I think it's brilliant. So right now we're going to get into the prequel for Negan, and then we'll get into the spoiler for the Walking Dead series in general. So Negan is a pure shithead. A gym talking, fuck saying, gym teacher. But he also has some very unfortunate circumstances that happen, and what we deal with in this comic, we find out here, heavy spoilers. If you want to read the comic, go grab it. I would recommend it right now, but I'm not going to give it a rating till the end. But heavy spoilers right now for both of these. I'm going to do this second, and I'm going to do this first. So first off in here, we find out that Negan is a gym coach. And he's saying fuck to all these kids. This is a very explicit comic, especially this one. Anything Negan. And we find out that, unfortunately, his wife develops cancer. And, unfortunately, you start to feel bad for him. And then you find out he's fucking cheating on his wife while she has cancer. So it's like, oh, you fucking shithead. But I don't know how it would be in that type of situation. I sure as shit wouldn't, cheat on my wife, because I don't have a wife anyways, but I would never do some shit like that. But then the way he finds out the apocalypse happens is his wife unfortunately passes in the hospital, and she fucking turns in front of him. After he gets her off the top of him, he looks out, and then everything has gone to shit outside. So immediately he pretty much just takes off. It seems like he's just like in a daze, but it seems like that's the last of his worry, and you see him run into a teenager in a parking garage, I believe, and he's literally asking, he's like, have you ever been laid before? And the teenager's like, kind of like, what the fuck? And then the teenager instantly gets chomped by a zombie, and Negan's like, fuck it. Because at a point in this comic, he's just pretty much on his own, and he's found a way. He's like, don't tell me your name, because you're probably going to end up dying tomorrow, and I don't want to really get close to you. But he ends up running into the survivors, and he starts telling these nasty-ass sexual stories. I'm not going to say it, on camera, because it's very fucking explicit. As much as I cuss and do everything, it's kind of fucked up, but funny in a way with my dark-ass sense of humor. But the the group gets fucking ambushed as he's telling these nasty ass stories. And that's where he acquires the baseball bat. Not barbed wired yet. And the group dies. Negan grabs the bat, starts bashing zombies' brains in. So then Negan is just traveling. He's traveling alone. He doesn't really want to deal with anybody until he runs into Dwight. Pretty much runs into him in the woods. And Negan's like, okay, I'll sort of join your group. And then later into it, there's these nasty ass guys in the group that are trading women for sex and stuff. They're like, well, you do something, we'll give you a woman. And one of them approaches Negan and is like, I offer you to you. And it's like it's a new world now. Negan's like, what the fuck? And literally grabs his baseball bat and beats his brains in. Grabs the barbed wire, ties it around, and that's when we see Lucille firstly made. But beforehand, I'm going to mention the way he found his awesome ass leather jacket. It's like, okay, he found it in a gas station or a convenience store on the back of a chair. I was like, that's cool, but Dwight in the group was like, only carry what you need, and he was like, I'm going to leave it some style, and I don't blame him, because he rocks the shit out of it. But when he beats in the brains of the one leader, he pretty much, waves this around and gives his speech and creates the saviors. And that's the way this comic ends. It was a really good comic. And now I'm going to get into the review of The Walking Dead. No, spoilers for this too. Not a lot of people know The Walking Dead has unfortunately ended. I was extremely sad, and every reader was extremely sad because it came out of nowhere. And it ended on issue 193, but for spoilers, in issue 192, Rick Grimes is shot in his bed while he's sleeping by a shithole head teenager. Just think about that. Rick Grimes has survived the governor, the saviors, the whisperers, and shot dead by a shithead teenager. So that I was mad about. I damn near threw across. But this is a variant of 192 where he's actually killed. And there's the birth date and the death date pretty much of the Walking Dead series. Which ends up playing well in 193, which ended up being the last one. Because nobody knew it. It came out of nowhere, and I was like, fuck you, Kirkman, fuck all y'all. And then I read it, and I was like, okay, that's a perfect wrap-up. And it's pretty much a time jump, and everything. I'm not going to get too much into it. You can buy the big, I think it's book 4 comes out in October. It's about that thick, so add it to your collection, because it's going to be the last one, unfortunately. But the last thing that's written in here by Kirkman is Negan Lives. Because Negan pretty much walked off into the sunset in the comics. He forms a really good relationship with Carl, which is shown in the show with Judith, which I thought the ending of the season finale of the last season, where he shoots off to get Judith in the snowstorm, was absolutely amazing. And I'm like, his character is finally being redeemed, and he definitely gets redeemed in the comics. But with this comic, this comic right here is The Walking Dead in a whole, I will give a solid 10 out of 10. It was an amazing start, and it was an amazing ending. Even though I'm going to be sad it's gone, hopefully we will get a Negan spinoff. And with Here's Negan, I give it an 8 out of 10. Only because I wish it would have been more dialogue. Well, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But if it would have been a little bit more, even though I appreciate the art, and I love it, it is what it is, and I've heard rumors of them trying to make a origin show, which would be awesome, but they're going to definitely have to cut out the fucking language unless we get like a Netflix type of thing, which I doubt will happen. But I figured this would be a great comic review, especially for the first one. But yeah, Here's Negan, I give a 10 out of 10. But what am I doing? The Walking Dead, I'll give a 10 out of 10 in its entirety. And Here's Negan, I will give an 8 out of 10. And this is the Comic Corner, and I'm Tyler, and you've been watching Geek Radar. Somebody's going to die tonight. We're going to go to PP Pants real soon.
Ha!